Hello everyone, I'm Patrick Vincent, the founder of Berning Media and the host of the podcast series on Apple and Google Music, The Daily Ember. In tonight's live stream, we'll be going over the 5 United States soldiers that were killed in Niger earlier this month, and after many people were asking why our troops were over there in the first place. So the reality is our troops are in multiple parts of Africa outside of Niger, so here are a few of the other areas in Africa where American troops are currently active. To start off, we can see they're in Uganda. Now, why are they in Uganda? Well, let me tell you. The United States military launched a search back in 2011 for the rebel leader, Joseph Kony. Joseph Kony, whose Lord's Resistance Army had terrorized Uganda and neighboring states for years. Now, the United States' efforts have helped weaken the group, but Kony remains at large, and the search for him has wound down since. The next place the United States is currently in is Somalia. Now, the American military charged into the East African nation back in 1992 and had helped end a famine, but became entangled in the country's civil war. Shocker, another civil war that somehow the United States is getting in the middle of. So the United States is now working with the military in its fight against al-Shabaab militants. So a United States military plane landed in the capital of Somalia last week, and on Monday they delivered medical supplies after a massive truck bomb that killed over more than 300 people. As you all saw on some of the news, we shared some articles in regards to it. It was the largest suicide bombing in Somalia. The next place is Djibouti. Now that I know I'm probably butchering that, you can correct me, I'm sorry. This tiny nation hosts the only permanent United States military base in Africa, though Americans there tend to focus more on the turbulence in the nearby Persian Gulf. And finally, we have Libya. The United States carried out a drone strike last month as a part of a periodic campaign aimed at the Islamic State and other extremists in the war-ravaged country. Now, in many ways, the Niger operation sheds light on the United States military missions underway in roughly more than 20 African countries, mostly in the northern third of the continent, as you can tell if you were to look at a map. They tend to be small and carried out largely below the radar, and are most are focused on specific aim of rolling back Islamic extremism. Almost all of the missions, the Americans are still there to advise, assist, and train the African militaries, and not to take part in any combat. Still, those supporting roles can often take United States forces into the field with their African partners, as was the case back in early October this year with the soldiers in Niger. Now, in Niger, about dozens of United States troops traveled with members of Niger's military to meet villagers in a remote southwest corner of the country near the border of Mali. The entire contingent was ambushed as they were leaving the village. Now, 4 Americans were killed and 2 were wounded, and the Nigerian troops also suffered some casualties. Now, the United States also, with our military force, established its African command, the AFRICOM, back in 2007 in an effort to work more closely with the African militaries that were often ill-equipped to deal with the emerging extremist groups. Now, former Barack Obama sent the troops back to Niger, back in the year of 2013, at a time when extremists were on the rise in northwest Africa. Now, Boko Haram was also on the march in Nigeria, Niger's neighbor to the south. Radicals aligned with Al-Qaeda and had taken over large parts of Mali and Niger's neighbor to the west. So that's why we got over in Niger to start off with. It started back in 2013, as you can see, with President Obama, to help try and curb the extremist threat while we are still doing all these deals with the Saudi Arabia government, one of the largest funders of extremism. But we are still trying to figure out why we aren't winning the war on terror, why we have extended the umbrella of the war on terror from back to 2 countries to now about 7 or 8 countries. It's just mind-boggling because each one of these countries, you can see we are killing more civilians are dying under President Donald Trump already. Already, more people have been killed by President Trump than Obama. In all 8 years that Obama was in office, Obama was the man that started using drones first. Like, he started using those things like they were nothing. Like, it was just another dart at a party for pinning the tail on a donkey or something. That's how much Obama was just throwing drone strikes around. He was just didn't care, man. We were killing civilians left and right. We're killing doctors without borders. We were leveling schools with children in them. We're hospitals with children and women in them. Multiple times we have shown to be the terrorist over there. Our freedoms aren't over there. How did our freedoms get over in the Middle East? The Westerners are the ones that drew the borders of the Middle East, and we're wondering why it's all jacked up. You wonder why? I mean, if you looked at the cultures, they've always clashed. You've drawn lines where these cultures are going to clash, and you wonder why? For fuck's sake, guys, even do it right in our own country. We can't handle our own racial problems. So why are we getting involved in other countries' religious wars? Is how I see this. It's more intervention and pointless wars. Our overinflated military budget and our really shitty healthcare system. So it's either we get really good at leveling third world countries, or we repair our D- infrastructure, fix our healthcare system, what's the difference? Which reminds you, we pay the most out of any industrialized country for healthcare, but we have the worst damn coverage. The worst coverage. Isn't the American dream beautiful? We have the largest prison population. We hold 5% of the world population, but we have 25% of the world's prison population. We have more people locked up than authoritarian countries. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're basically leading the way to an authoritarian country. So we're just spreading ourselves thin. I mean, anytime an empire spreads itself thin with its military, it always crumbles, and I do believe that is what we are seeing, especially under the new administration. It is showing that our politicians are not really the ones in power. The corporations are in power, and we need to take lobbying and big money out of politics and take control of our politics again and make people back. People have the power back in politics and elect people that reflect their voice truly and walk the walk and just don't talk the talk. Once again, I'm Patrick Vincent. This has been your video update. Please make sure to download the Anchor app where you can get all of our daily segments and podcast episodes via there, or you can also subscribe to us on Apple iTunes Music or Google Play on our podcast, The Daily Ember. Just have to search up Berning Media and we should pop up right there. Make sure to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel also. Thanks for watching this. Have a great day.